Tuck yourself on, I'm ready. I know. All right, want to go ahead and call to order our, this is on, yeah, our work session. We will have a discussion on Stony Creek Holdings LLC, Stony Creek Subdivision, Unit 3, Phase 1C, final plat. Anyone here to discuss that? Oh, okay.
So we have Colton from Vantage here, so I think if there's any in the audience, I think if there's any specific questions concerning that. But in terms of the final plat, maybe we should open it up again.
Yes, why not? We're talking about Stony Creek, final plat, if there's anyone here to discuss that.
Yeah.
Yes, Unit 3, Phase 1C.
I'm Colt McGlone with Vantage Engineering. We're just here hoping to get final approval on Phase 1C of Unit 3. It's kind of where there's a red dot, it looks like, yeah. So it's kind of those lots. There's the detention pond on that north end, and it ends in a cul-de-sac right there. So all of the utilities are in, the roads are paved, all the property corners are there, and we've given all that to Amanda. I believe you all have copies of the final plat. I only have one as-built. I don't know where it is, but it shows the curb inlet depths and things like that.
18 lots.
Yes, yeah. And so this is the end of Unit 3. Of Unit 3, Phase 1, sorry. So,
I'm gonna pull up the preliminary plat because this will help in our discussion. What I've done is I've taken the preliminary plat. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to get my stuff open before the meeting. I've taken the preliminary plat and let me see if I can, here we go. Kind of highlighted which phases are what. So this is all one unit of development, but it was broken out into 3 different phases. So off of, this is Wildwood Way. So off of Wildwood, you had a little section here. You had this was phase A, so it included a retention pond. If you've been out there, this particular section, there are now houses built on most of this. This was the second phase we approved, again, phase B. And then there were 18 lots remaining that are phase C. So for this evening's meeting, they are requesting final plat approval for those last 18 lots. And if you will recall, in August of 2023, this preliminary plat was expiring. So we renewed this preliminary plat, and we, in discussion with the developer, had made some contingencies on this final plat approval. Those contingencies were that the turn lanes be installed. Those are now installed. The other contingency is that Wildwood Way was paved. And I'm gonna jump back to it. So with the bond for all of this phase, we were also carrying the bond for the final coat of paving on this entrance going in around here, around the loop, to these sections where you see there are houses built. So that paving has now also been done. The third thing that was part of that, the minutes, was maintenance some required maintenance, and we are actively working with the owner to get the retention ponds mowed. So we have been assured that will happen. We have enforcement through our MS4, our stormwater ordinance that allows us to enforce that. So we will take those steps if necessary. Hopefully we won't get there. Hopefully those will get mowed soon. But those are 3 items that were on those contingencies for approval of this final plat, along with just meeting the requirements for the final plat. So the plat has been through the development review team, has gotten approval. We actually found no deficiencies on their plat. Again, those items that we said had to be completed have been. If you will recall, at the time that the preliminary plat was approved, this one, we kind of did I guess you want to call it maybe a case study to see how putting the pavement on up front, the final coat of paving on up front before we construct on them, how that will work. So this is that section. And at that meeting, we also talked about putting a 20% contingency. If they go ahead and put the paving down, that we would hold 20% of the cost of that paving for a maintenance guarantee. So that we make sure that if that pavement tears up, needs to be repaired, that the city has some money to cover that. And so we'll talk about bonding after the actual plat requirements, but that may give you a little context as to just refresh your memory of how we've gotten where we are today.
So a couple quick questions, Amanda. First is the paving of Wildwood Way, has that been brought into the city?
It has not. Okay. And so what I have done is I'll go ahead and get into the bonding conversation now too. So we currently have a bond in the amount of $347,825.70. That bond expires in October of this year. So we have a good bond. It's in good standing. And I have talked to the developer about accepting Phase 1A in, and we very briefly talked about Wildwood Way. After our discussions, I have there are certain things that have to be installed before the city can accept it into maintenance. Those things are streetlights, sidewalks. We've got to make sure that everything is in good repair. So what I would like to do is keep the current bond amount, allow the developer sufficient time to have those corrections made, get Wildwood Way, if he so chooses, and Phase 1A. Whatever gets completed and the city accepts it into maintenance, we would reduce the bond at that time.
So my next question is, the 20% maintenance, is that part of the 347, or is that to be added to the 347?
So what I did is so the 347 was the cost of the pavement.
Okay.
But it did not include Phase 1C. That was only for 1A, 1B, and Wildwood Way.
So I would assume that the bond is going to go up.
You would assume, so typically that bond
That's
would
my
go
guess.
up.
Because if I do my math correctly, I see 347 currently, and if we're going to ask for 20%, then we're looking at $68,000 roughly, somewhere for quote-unquote maintenance, correct?
But we have the total cost of pavement in there now.
Okay.
So you would reduce the total cost and add back in just 20% of that total cost.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So we have sufficient money a sufficient bond.
Okay.
If we reduce the paving cost to only 20%.
So my other comment is that when I look at this development as large as it is, I know that we had kind of drew a line in the sand and said, hey, we're not going to do anything else until we get turn lanes. That's been done. It also appears to me that it seems to be a common occurrence with this particular development, getting mowing done. Whether it's in the roundabout, whether it's signage in the roundabout, whether it's, now I hear of a retention pond, and now we're adding another roughly 2.446 acres of a retention pond. And I'm curious, whose responsibility is that going to be? Because I keep hearing every development stuff that needs to get mowed, and for whatever reason, it doesn't appear to happen at a pace that at least the folks that are out there would like to see it. So who's going to be responsible for yet another retention pond and ensuring that it gets mowed in a timely basis?
My answer to that, and I would ask the developer himself to come up and answer, because that's something that obviously the city has been concerned with. You know, we get a lot of those calls. We sent a notice of violation for those ponds to be mowed by March 1st. So for these two particular ponds, we have a signed and recorded maintenance agreement with Stony Creek Holdings LLC. So that makes them responsible forevermore for the mowing of these ponds.
As well as I would assume other intersections and what have
As
you that
well
that are
as,
that are
you know,
part of the development.
Currently, until the city accepts Wildwood Way,
Right.
it would be the roundabout.
Sure.
Yep.
Has the city street department done anything with the signage and direction and that kind of stuff with the roundabout?
They did. They added stop signs,
Okay.
and I want to think maybe some directional arrows too.
Yeah, I went out there before coming here, so they have stop signs, and then below the stop signs, they do have a right turn only arrow. So, and that's at all points on that intersection. For each entrance, there's a right-hand turn sign below the stop sign.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this is really the place, or I know you all have these conversations. I know Amanda's talked about looking at subregs and things. Just a suggestion or maybe a statement is it's not extremely common for residential developers or subdivision developers to have lifetime maintenance of a pond, just because it's kind of like you're saying, it becomes quite a hassle when you're not making any income off the property anymore to continually maintenance it. That it's different in, say, like a commercial. If you build a McDonald's and you have a detention pond, the McDonald's continues to maintain it. But what we've seen in other areas is either the city will take it over. Some cities do charge a detention, essentially a detention pond tax. I don't know that that's the way you want to go. A lot of other things that we do is detention ponds are on private property, but they are in a detention easement. It's no different really than like a utility easement. If you were like railroads owning all the property and having to maintain it, electric companies and gas companies tend not to want to own that much land, and so they get easements. The private property owner maintains that property, treats it is theirs, and they're taxed on it. But if the utility needs to access it, they use it. I think it will become increasingly harder, and it'll just be a continuous battle if you continue to have detention ponds being maintained by developers for eternity.
Understood. I mean, but I think that you also have the opportunity to establish a homeowners association, right? That could take this over and take over some of the other stuff that's involved with it that, that will have the funds to do that. And the homeowners association can then contract with whomever to come bush hog it or weed eat it or whatever the case may be, as opposed to the developer being on the hook until perpetuity. So was there not a homeowners association established with this?
Correct. We had
Development.
that conversation, encouraged them to do that.
Right.
And they chose not
Not
to.
to, okay.
And I will say, the city has been through a big evolution of this over the years. So we've done all three of those things. There was this era where the city accepted all the infrastructure in and we mowed it. And what happens with that is that our Public Works Department has just limited staff so then now we're responsible for the ponds in every little subdivision. So that just didn't work over time, right? And then you have this, then it went to, we'll put it on individual lots and let those individual property owners, and I've had this conversation with so many engineers and planners and what is the best way to handle this, and unfortunately, we are where we are. So what happens with individual property owners is when they go purchase that home, they don't know what that means, right? And I'm not saying every property owner, but generally speaking, you would be amazed at the calls that we get that people say, what kind of permit do I need to fill in my backyard? Every time it rains, it gets wet back here, and I just need to raise it 14 feet, or whatever. And so we've been through that, and we've been through the enforcement of making people dig out their ponds when they've put, fill in there. I'm sure many of you live in subdivisions that's happened. Detention easements just aren't that anymore. Because over time they have swing sets and they have fences and they have landscaping and they get filled. And so anyway, that didn't work. And so the moral of the story is now we are, through our MS4 program, doing this maintenance agreement where we are trying to encourage, and I don't think we can make people set up HOAs, but certainly trying to encourage that because it is an ongoing struggle to get the maintenance done. And I know that you see that.
Absolutely. I can remember a time from a development standpoint back in the 90s. We would take in developments that would have parks.
Mm-hmm.
And the city had not only the legal liability, but they also had, they had to mow it and weed it and do this, that, and whatever. But now we've said, hey, man, we're tapped out from a maintenance perspective. I'm just kind of curious, what's going to happen 20 years from now to those detention ponds.
So we are working on subreg updates, as you know, and I think in these cases where the developer chooses not to set up an HOA, and there is one person, entity, LLC, whatever, that's responsible, and they no longer are responsive, the city does it and assesses the cost to those people in that subdivision. And
That's not necessarily fair to them, in my opinion.
that's the only solution I have come up with, and we will talk about this when we get
Sure.
to our subreg
Sure.
conversation, but that is something that the planning commission, that is something we have facing us that we have to figure out, is what happens when, this person is no longer responsive, or let's say their heirs, 20 years down the road, 50 years down the road, who does this? Who does this maintenance? It is a real issue that we have to think about moving forward and get in our regulations.
Amanda, do we not make enough taxes off this that the city can afford to? They got the crew out there anyway cleaning that can mow a little old retention. I know they add up. I've been through that too. Like he's talking about all those parks and stuff. But why can't, sure they make enough taxes that they can go out there and run a lawnmower over that.
Well, I don't know that it's about the taxes. We can certainly implement development impact fees are in our regulations. We just don't charge them. I think there are certainly ways to do that, but my conversations have been strictly about manpower.
I know, well, what about woman power, Women work too. Some do, that's okay. But I wonder if that wouldn't be the best solution, I mean, that's what the city taxes and all the taxes and stuff and the county taxes are for, to take care of stuff like that the city is responsible for,
Yep,
Same as they are the streets,
yep,
but that's okay.
yep.
Okay.
It is,
Other
it
comments?
is a real issue.
Martin has a comment. Or something.
Yeah, how's the paving experiment going?
I think so far so good.
Yeah, like I said, I drove out there before and I didn't notice any problems. Wildwood Way, I was surprised. She said they put the final coat on, which is true, but it was actually two layers. So I mean, Wildwood Way is very, very sturdy. It's when you come in up to the roundabout. But like I said, even as you go further into the subdivision, all the streets seem to be fine as of right now. I didn't see any signs of bad spots or deterioration at all.
Yeah, I was out there today and I thought it looked good. The one thing I do like about it is that your stormwater system works. And so you don't have all that ponding on the roads. Yeah.
And by the way, there's been a bill introduced in the legislature to address when HOAs fail to do their thing that allows local government to take over that. They're allowed to take over the HOA's responsibilities. And they can contract it out, they can do whatever, right?
Right. And
But right now, he can't.
it's referred to by most cities as an unfunded mandate.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Anything else? Okay. Thank you. All right, I'd like to call to order the business session for the Berea Planning Commission for Tuesday, February 22nd. First item on the agenda is the election of officers.
All right. So we have 3 positions that we elect. These are chairman, vice chair, and secretary. So at this time, I will open the floor up for nominations for the position of chair.
If he's willing, I'd like to nominate Greg Lakes.
Greg, do you accept the nomination for the position of chair?
So what's involved on I mean, I know, I come to the meetings, but, so if you're the chair, I mean, are there additional meetings and trainings and different things that you need to do as far as that? or-
There are no additional meetings. You have some plats and various things that you might have to sign. We're doing a DocuSign right now, which is wonderful. We have the same training that all the other commissioners attend. The expectation that you're familiar with the agenda and with the items coming forth from the agenda. But other than that, unless I have missed a whole bunch of stuff.
And the, length of time for the, I mean, like,
Length of time,
It's a 1 year.
it's a 1 year, it's a
Okay.
1 year term.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was asking too. Okay. Yeah, my only concern is just sometimes with scheduling, I guess that's why we have other people who are vice and,
That's why we have a vice chair, yes.
yeah, I would be okay with that.
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations for? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. He's shaking his head.
Yeah, I know. This is-
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay, and at this time, I will open the floor for the position of vice chair. The duties here would be to serve in the capacity of the chair in their absence. So that would mean meetings, and that would also mean signing plats or other documents that come up if the chair's unavailable. So I will open the floor for the position of vice chair.
I would nominate Martin as a reciprocal nomination there, if you're so moved. But if you're not, I totally understand that.
No, that's, unless somebody else really would like to do it, I'm fine. I just didn't want chair.
Martin's done a great job as vice chair, so.
I'm not now.
I second
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I second Martin's.
Okay. All in
chair.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Martin. And lastly, secretary, obviously the easiest of the three, because we have Melissa who takes the minutes, who keeps us all, gets our agendas together. So this person is not responsible for those kind of monthly activities, but would be there in the absence of the chair and vice chair.
Didn't we have one of those this past year?
Uh-huh. And I think it's,
I thought it was it Greg vice secretary?
Yeah.
oh yeah, I think Greg might be.
And I thought that was
Yeah.
so bizarre that actually I was like, how are both of them?
You got one meeting?
Well, he can't be both, so,
That's right.
So, yeah, I'd nominate Ben Robinson if he would be.
Sure, I accept.
All right.
Let's
All
get
right,
this moving along.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. And Miss Betty, I just want to extend from the city our just sincerest thank you for all the years that you've served as the chair, and just such a great job that you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
what is the effective date on all this?
The next meeting.
Okay, is that like now? Because we're going into business session?
No,
Okay.
No.
no.
Okay. I guess I can finish this.
I mean, I'll leave
Okay,
that up to
thank you,
her, but
guys.
if she'll finish.
I think we can finish this. All right, thank you very much, and my thanks and appreciation to Greg, Martin, and Ben for taking on the responsibilities for this coming year. P&Z is really a good place to be. I've really enjoyed it, so, and I will continue to enjoy it, I hope, for another couple of years.
Madam
All right.
Chair, you still be on the commission while we go through the next comprehensive plan. Just a reminder.
Appreciate that. All right, recognition of visitors for anyone who's here for an item not on the agenda. Okay, minutes, we'll have our minutes of January 23rd, 2024.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes as presented, please.
Do I have a second? Okay, it's been moved and second that the minutes of January 23rd, 2024 be accepted as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The first item of old business is a zone change request, 102 Bond Street, and that item was tabled. And as far as I know, it's still tabled because I did not see a conceptual development plan, so, okay.
No action needed.
No action needed. The second is Robert Locker, the Beaumont Development Letter of Credit, expired March 27th, 2024, in the amount of $26,609.
And we have someone here.
It's your turn. You're up.
Yep.
Well, thank you for letting me speak. I'm Harvey Kidd. I'm a third owner of Beaumont Development, and along with my brother Ernie Kidd and Robert Locker. And as Amanda and I, we've already talked, and she talked with Robert earlier, and we've been in business for 25 years. Now, we didn't set out to be in business 25 years, but due to things that happened, 08 and different things, our development slowed down. But it picked back up, and it has been a blessing to us, and I hope a blessing to Berea, even to the point of last year when the Commons went in down there, And we already had the infrastructure and streets and things already in, and made it very easy for them to come in and build. But what we have done, as a developer, what you want to do is, you want to go out of business. You want to sell everything you got and go out of business. And we have done that in the fact that we have sold all the lots that we have to sell. And in that, though, that doesn't mean that everybody done their job and that everybody that bought a lot put their sidewalks in. And that's where our issue is, that we want to go out of business. We want to dissolve our corporation. And so what we want to do is we need to just handle and take care of this issue that we've got of this outstanding sidewalks that need to be put in. And Amanda's been great to work with us. We just need to know how we can solve that problem. You know what I mean? And it's economically for us, because as we've already talked about, the dilemma that you get in with development is that after you sell all your lots and you're not making any money coming in, how much does the developer want to be responsible for the rest of his life, you know? And especially when, you know, you're not making any money off of it. So rather than to just go in and put them in, we're going to try to work with the owners, get with them as they should put them in, because in our restrictions, and they read all of them and agreed to them, is that, you know, they're supposed to put them in within a certain amount of time, but not all, and they do if they build, but if they don't build, they don't want to put sidewalks in. And so we just need to work with them and get that done and push that along, and we've just been working with Amanda on that, and she's been very good to help. And the city of Berea has been very good to work with us this last 25 years and everything that we have done with the streets and the infrastructure and the development. And so I appreciate everything that the city has done, and we just aim to get this resolved is what it is. And she can fill you in on the rest, of course.
Okay, Amanda.
So my recommendation would be to extend it for one more year. And with the, we actually are at a point now, again, I think there's been more development recently, than any time in the last probably 10 years.
Yes,
so-
pick back up.
So at least four lots have recently, within the last year, gotten sidewalk. We are, you know, gaining some speed on this, but my conversation, to both Robert Locker and Harvey was, you know, that responsibility does lie with the developer. And that was that part of that initial bond, was for the city to get the sidewalks. That sidewalk is in the public right of way. And 25 years later, we just need it finished. So I think we've got a game plan for them to maybe push the owners to get the sidewalks installed.
The last commercial lots that we sold, which was just last year, we sold, and just up the right-hand corner where all the red line is, we sold that to White House Clinic. And the White House Clinic, who bought the medical building across the street and the lots on each side, are going to do some type of development in the future. And hopefully we can find out within this coming year what their development plan is, because once they develop, they're going to put all the sidewalks in. And of course, we would hate for our expenses to put all the sidewalks in and then them turn around and start building and take most of them out. And so if we can get with them and find out what we can put in that is not going to be effective, or let them go ahead and maybe they'll have some type of plan within this year that we're talking about. But as far as the rest of it goes, we have a couple of developers that's got some commercial lot. One has a commercial lot, and we need to get and see when they're planning on building them on them so we can move forward on it. You're right.
So I got a question. How many lots do we have that do not have sidewalks in front of them?
It's hard to say lots because.
Or we've had
So
a
we've
house
got a-
built with no sidewalk. I think I'm not confused about the subdivision regs or the regs that we have, that when something is built that sidewalks go in, as opposed, I'm kind of confused that I hear we're asking, you know, homeowners or whoever, hey, you got to put your sidewalk in, when I always thought that was the responsibility of the developer, not necessarily the homeowner. And that should be, I would assume, included in the cost of the lot and what have you, right?
Well, we didn't put any sidewalks in until, you know, that was
Understand.
after it was built, because we didn't know where the driveway was going to go. And most of them you're going to be tore out if you put them in, because the final grade's not done, you know, when you go in. And so we didn't require that, and so we haven't put any in, and it was supposed to be the responsibility of the builder, or if he's a contractor, to put them in as he built the house. And so only one that's not in is the ones that are lots that are not built on. There's the 2 commercial lots that's not built on, actually maybe another commercial lot on the corner that's got a little bit. And then there's a residential part. The upper part is residential, and the little, as you get back in the cul-de-sac, there's 3 lots in there that have been sold, and the owners, and they were sold to people that live in the subdivision. So it's not a builder that's bought those, it's a private individual has bought those. And I don't know if they plan on turning around and building on them or not. That's what I thought they were gonna do, but they haven't built yet, and those been sold for a couple of years.
Is that the red lines? Is the,
The red lines
Yeah, that's
are
what-
where
that's
the
the line.
sidewalks have not been installed.
Right.
And there's a total of what we figured, and it is not to the foot, but about 1,250, let's say, linear feet of sidewalks that need to be installed. So you see, when you come in off Peggy Flats, the first corner lot, my mouse won't let me point on this one, but the first corner lot, 2 commercial lots on Kid Drive, and then, as Harvey just said, kind of a little snake in the middle, that's a residential lot. And then this one down here at the bottom is they actually have a development plan on it.
Yeah, it's
And it's a little
it's
apartment,
multifamily. Yeah, it's
multifamily.
It's in multifamily. It
apartment.
backs up right behind the new commons that's there. Yeah, so it's in multifamily.
So again, that's kind of the catch here, is that the city sees that as the developer's responsibility. But when they sell, they generally have an agreement, whether it's in deed restrictions or however legally they transfer that responsibility to the new lot owner. And then we're here 25 years later,
Yeah,
wondering
25
who's
years
putting the
later,
sidewalks in.
Here we are.
So does extending this 1 year in this amount, will that cover the 1,200 linear feet in the event that somebody says, no, I'm not doing that?
Yeah, so we're using our engineer has recommended $18 a linear foot for sidewalks. So that's about 22,000. So we do believe the bond,
It's sufficient to
Currently-
cover it and they'll get done.
however, if material prices, if we see
Understand.
another.
I get it.
We don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but we are
Understand.
closer right now than we've ever been.
Okay.
To that amount actually covering the sidewalks.
Okay.
And I do think that we should consider, and I have talked to our administration, that we really need to limit this to 1 year. And if not, we need to consider
Calling the bond and-
taking action to have the city install these.
sir, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but,
Oh, Harvey Kidd.
and so you're okay for another year extension on this?
Pardon me, I didn't understand.
You're okay with another year
Oh,
extension
yeah,
on the
yeah,
bond?
yeah. We don't, I don't mind, because I'm king of let it go, So, I mean, we've been in it 25 years, but we're trying to just make it finally draw to a close. And at some point, it needs to be resolved, because we have worked with the city over the past, and she has sent us letters a few years ago, you need to get sidewalks in, and we passed that information along to the owners, and we've tried to get things done, but we just need to speed it up, because it could drag out forever, and we just need to go ahead and wrap this up so we can close out Beaumont and get all behind us. And it's not on her table anymore. It's not on her agenda or the city's responsibility. So yeah, we just need to draw it to a close. So I appreciate the 1 year time frame in doing that, and I'm confident that we can get with the owners no more than we need. And the only holdup would be whatever White House Clinic does. See what I mean? They're kind of the main one. Let's find out what they're going to do, and they'll work with that. And we'll work with it to get it done, to do whatever the city needs. That'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Love it.
to extend the letter of credit bond for Robert Locker of Beaumont Development for 1 year in the amount from 1 year to March 27, 2025, in the amount of $26,609.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Denise. It has been moved in second that we extend the letter of credit or bond to Beaumont Development in the amount of $26,609, ending March 27th, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Amanda, can I ask a quick question? The
Question, yes?
builder,
If you speak into the
Speak
mic.
into the mic.
so if the say if somebody buys a lot beside them and behind them, whatever like that, there, how does that sidewalk get done? Is that through the subdivision on the bonding, city, or does the homeowner have the responsibility?
So again, so the city sees that right of way as being back of sidewalk to back of sidewalk.
Yeah,
Meaning when we accept that street for maintenance, what should be installed is the road, the curb and gutter, and sidewalks on both sides.
okay,
So that's in that public way portion of the road.
okay.
So that's why we put sidewalks as, when we say there's incomplete infrastructure, people don't put their sidewalks in up front, and and so so that's why the city says that that's the developer's responsibility, and we bond that amount. But again, what happens is typically the developer, when they sell lots, transfer that responsibility. So if I'm a homeowner and I build a house and I buy a lot next to mine and I intend to keep it vacant, it is my responsibility as a homeowner to put that sidewalk in. But how that gets enforced
Yes,
is through the developer and whatever their legal means was to make that property owner put that sidewalk in. For our responsibility, we're still holding that developer responsible. So it's just not an easy, it's not an easy way to explain it because it's everyone's responsibility, right? It is, from a city perspective, it's the developer's responsibility. And from the developer's responsibility, most of the time, they have a legal enforcement binding contract that says that that property owner is supposed to put it in.
And if everybody defaults, that's what the bond or letter of credit
And that's
is, to
what
pay
the
the
bond-
city.
Correct, yes, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Comments? Okay, we will move now to new business. And the first item on new business is Jerry Little, 311 Richmond Road North, minor plat waiver, request for a minimum lot size requirement. Mr. Little, where?
Hello, everybody.
Would you say your name?
For the record, I'm Jerry Little. I'm the owner of this property I'm going to talk about here tonight. What I'm asking you all to consider here tonight is a minor plat with a waiver request for the minimum lot requirements. The property I'm talking about is there on 25 North as you go into Boone Square Mini Mall there. It's where the Mexican restaurant is and the Bluegrass Auto Mart. I've owned it for about 35 years. And, I'm wanting to divide off the where they got the car part of it, where they got the trailers at 311. I'm wanting to divide it into a separate lot. It has a building and an office on it, and it's before I had this survey done, I'd roughed it out, and I thought I had 10,000 square foot. But by the time I did the required setbacks and marked everything, I've come up short. I'm 1,805 square foot short. I'm not gonna build anything on it. It's already got a building on it. It's all utilities. It's got its own entrance. It's got its own sidewalks. Everything's complete. I'm not wanting to do anything. I'm just wanting to get a separate deed on it. And then that leaves the other lot beside of it. It's a huge lot, but the way the buildings is laid out on it, I can't take I can't get no more square footage. It's got me,
to where that I can't, it leaves about 2,500 or 25,000 square foot with the other building. But, I can't, I can't divide it up. And, you know, your question might be, is after 35 years, why am I asking to divide that thing? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. While I've still got sound mind and I'm trying to get my affairs in order, and that's what I'm trying to do. I ain't getting no younger. So, has everybody got a little copy of this little minor plat? Yeah. I'll be glad to answer any questions if I can. If I can, you know, answer anything, I'll be glad to. But everything on the lot. It's got everything it needs. It don't need anything. It's just tied to the other one. And that pie-shaped lot's hard to do anything with, them sharp corners. Both of them's B2. Both of them's got the right zoning, all that.
I will add that, you'll see on the plat that he had the surveyor include an access easement, so there's about a little over 20 feet between those two buildings. And he did make that access easement for both properties so that if any maintenance needed to be done or
Well, you can get behind this building too. It's for the,
so you can drive around the building.
So my question, Jerry, is what is the date on this, 2017? The picture that we have.
Oh, yeah, that's the latest. I could get it to pull up and actually show you where we were.
So Jerry, is there still a, I guess, pull-behind trailer there, and is somebody living in it?
no, there's no trailer there, no.
Okay,
What's it showing? I can't hardly hear. I've got my hearing aids.
that's
coming
okay.
in tomorrow.
Yeah, I see a trailer back behind it, and I'm curious.
Oh,
is-
Joey just parks that there. That's his pool trailer. He just parks it there. He hooks to it to the weekend and go. There ain't nobody lives or nothing in it. He just backs it in there. He just got a place he parks it there. He stores it there. No, there ain't nobody that's living or nothing. That's the end I want to cut off right there. Like I say, I got the big commercial entrance, I got the sidewalk, I mean, it's got its own utilities, it's got everything.
I see the
All
shrubbery
this
there. Is there fencing there at all? Or
Do what now?
Is there fencing at all behind the?
Those shrubs, that's the,
Okay.
they're solid fencing. It backs up to the vacant mall property there, Roy's.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes, Mark?
Amanda, so this would be like about a 20%. Is
Man, I have
that,
trouble hearing, I can't hear.
I said that's about a 20% reduction in minimum from 10,000 feet?
I guess it's 10,000 is supposed to be the minimum,
Yeah.
I've got 8,100 and some.
Yeah,
So I need
so
1,800 is what I need.
historically, Amanda, where's that fall in what, it seems like a lot to me, but,
I don't know if I can answer that question. A lot of a lot of the times that we grant variances is, for lot frontage. Lot size is not as common, I will say.
I guess my question is, if this variance is not approved, what are the, I guess I'll say consequences or issues associated with it?
What would be any issues associated with them not approving the variance?
Just when I die, I'd have to sell it in one piece. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, I'm 77 and I've had it 35 years, so I ain't been interested in dividing it, but I'm trying to get everything lined out before that's the only thing. It like I say, it's got it on everything. It's not infringing on nothing. It's got everything. It's got its own utilities, its own big driveway, it's got everything.
Comments from commissioners?
Is the zoning the same on both? or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's all B2 around there. Everything's B2.
Well, unless I'm reading this wrong, the variance would not only be for square footage, but the rear setback is supposed to be 20 feet. And I don't think that one corner of that building is not 20 feet.
But with, that's existing non-conforming, so unless we were able to make that neighbor sell him more land, that doesn't change that.
No,
So we just generally call that an encroachment that exists,
yeah,
and some of those you just can't deal with.
I know, we deal with it all the time, existing non-conforming.
Existing non-conforming, yep. Mhm.
Okay.
So I'm also, I think as often do, is like, it's not necessarily about what this moment is with that building there, but the next owner, right, who owns this and says, okay, I'm tearing everything down, this garage, and I'm building something else back. And then,
You'd have to go with the setbacks, so it wouldn't,
Yeah.
you couldn't build just anything you wanted to. It's, what's existing's existing, but once you tear something down, then you probably
Right.
couldn't.
right,
I'd say one of these days it'll be incorporated into that lot behind it there if I was guessing.
yeah.
Cause that's the frontage on that big lot there. Which at this point, I'm not interested in selling it. You know, I'm not gonna sell it till I pass away. And so
I know, yeah.
that's the deal.
All right, commissioners, other comments? Do we want to go with this?
I will, I'll make a motion for the 311 Richmond Road North minor plat waiver request, minimum lot size request, to accept.
Oh, okay.
I second.
It's been moved and second that the minor plat waiver request, lot size on 311 Richmond Road will be accepted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, sir. It's done. It's done. Thank you. All right.
That's what I'm saying. It does.
Never mind. Our second item is Stony Creek Holdings LLC, Stony Creek Subdivision, Unit 3, Phase 1C, final plat approval. And state your name again.
I'm Colton McGlone with Vantage Engineering, representing Stony Creek Holdings.
So as discussed in the work session, we had agreed back in August of 23 that prior to approval of this final plat, that the turn lanes from Richmond Road be installed, and they have. We also made it contingent that the final plat not be approved until paving of Wildwood Way was completed, and it has. And the third contingency was that maintenance be taken care of. And as I stated before, we are currently working with the developer to get the 2 retention ponds, one that is in this phase, 1C, but there is another one that is in this unit or this phase of this unit that also needs to have some maintenance done. So we are currently working with the property owners to get that done. It was also determined that a 20% maintenance guarantee should be included in the bond in the case of any needed repair to the surface coat prior to city acceptance. So the final plat has been reviewed by the dirt team and no deficiencies were identified.
Okay,
Question.
yes.
So if we were to approve this, do we have to include contingencies for maintenance of the retention pond and all that in
So
our motion?
We actually, I mean, we certainly can. We've given them till March 1st, which is this week, but with the rain, I wonder if that's likely. We do have enforcement, measures through our MS4 program, which is how we wrote the notice of violation, to actually enforce the maintenance agreement. So we will pursue that if necessary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I-
this is just a simple motion.
I think it's just a simple motion. Yeah, I mean, it certainly can be included. I think that's at your all's discretion. But we have to enforce that through our MS4 either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the final plat for Stony Creek subdivision, Unit 3, Phase 1C as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and second that we approve the Stony Creek Holdings LLC subdivision, Unit 3, Phase 1C, the final plat as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. All right, so the bonding, we already had that discussion, or do we need more discussion on the bonding?
I wouldn't mind to just recap for the minutes. So the current bond amount is $347,825.70, and it expires on 10/20/24. As we stated before, typically we would be requesting additional bonding for incomplete infrastructure of Phase 1C, these 18 lots. But due to the allowance for this developer to install the top coat of pavement, and our agreement to keep just a 20% maintenance contingency, I would recommend that we keep the current bond amount. Essentially what we are doing there is reducing the pavement cost to only 20% and including the sidewalks for Phase 1C. The current bond amount is sufficient to cover the cost of the linear feet of sidewalks in phases 1A, 1B, and 1C, and Wildwood Way, and the cost of and 20% of the cost of surface pavement, plus a 15% contingency that we require. So I would request that current bond amount just stay as is, and then if the developer, at the time that the developer wishes to have the city accept any of these phases into the city maintenance, that they could request a reduction at that time.
What was that amount again? 347,800.
25,
2577.
this is 76,
70?
70, okay.
And the expiration is 10/24, correct?
10/20/2024.
Okay.
Okay. I have a motion on the bonding.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
So I would like to make the motion that we set the bonding on Stony Creek Holding LLC, Stony Creek Subdivision Unit 3, Phase 1C at $347,825.70, set to expire on 10/20/2024.
Okay. It's a motion's been made. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been moved and second that we approve the bonding for Stony Creek Holdings LLC, Stony Creek Subdivision Unit 3, Phase 1C, in the amount of $347,825.70 to expire 10/10/24.
10/20.
What did I say? 10/10?
10/10. 10/20.
10/20.
10/20.
10/20.
Yep.
24. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else need to come before us?
So they'll be back in September for an extension on that.
Or potentially a reduction.
Or
Reduction, yeah,
Or
reduction.
Let's
Yeah, let's be positive.
Yeah, we'd like to have it, something accepted into the city
be
and
half full,
reduce
Martin.
it.
let's be a glass half full.
That's right. All right, it's 7 and
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn so we can watch a basketball game.
I'll moved in second, we adjourn. Aye. Aye.